Hello, we are continuing in our learning of Hilchos Pesach through the Chayei Adam. We're in Klal Kuf Yud Tes, chapter 119 of the Chayei Adam, and we are picking up with halacha number 16. And we were talking about how there is a difference having to check underneath large piles of wheat and debris, and the difference with it being within 30 days or not 30 days. So he addresses this issue in halacha 16 over here by saying there's a reason why you have to distinguish between 30 days before Pesach and 30 days within 30 days of Pesach, because this was a gzera, a takana of Chazal. This is what the rabbis enacted, that 30 days before the holiday, which is also the amount of time that we give to start asking about the holiday itself, the obligations of the festival begin to lay themselves upon you. So you have to now focus on getting ready for Yom Tov. Therefore, you have to pay attention to all your requirements. One of those requirements is to get rid of chametz. And by making you check for it, you won't leave behind any chametz in a way that could have you violate Bal Yirah and Bal Yimatzeh, and especially when you have not enough time to get rid of it in a simple fashion. And so you shouldn't go to a place where you're throwing all of these kernels to the chickens in a place where you can't clean them up within 30 days because you might forget to eliminate them and clean them up. And the Mishnah Berurah actually says over here that if you didn't check for kernels, these kernels that you threw to the chickens, then you can go ahead and check after Pesach. That's from last time. If you forgot to check after them, you can still sell it after Pesach to a non-Jew. And for these birds, if they are not belonging to you and you throw chametz to them, you can do that even if it's before the time when they become prohibited. The things become prohibited. So let's talk about somebody who leaves their home for 30 days. Okay. But you leave your wife at home. So she's going to be responsible for doing bdika. She's going to have to check the house, and she's going to have to do the bittul chametz in the house, because you're going to come back. You need to come back in time for Pesach. Okay? And then the husband, he should do a bittul while he's traveling. And therefore, since there's so many different rules about this between 30 days and before 30 days and within 30 days, so which we've already mentioned, and one should not just rely on their wives alone. So therefore, someone should also appoint a proxy to go ahead and check as well. And this is the appropriate thing to do. So someone who leaves their house before Pesach and is going to stay at another house over Pesach, like a lot of people do, they go away for some of the springtime. If no one's going to be going into the house before this time, and the house belongs to a Jewish person, okay, or if it belongs to a non-Jew, and the non-Jew is going to return after Pesach, you have to check the whole house. So if you're going to stay there, okay, you have to do a bdika on it. But if the house belongs to a non-Jew, and he's not going to come back the whole time, okay, and you're not going to come back the whole time, you don't have to check your house, and you have to check his house, okay, because you're going to get rid of your chametz, and the non-Jew, if he leaves any chametz in there, he won't keep it at all, okay, and also you're going to do the mitzvah of biur chametz in the house in which you were staying. So you're going to be covering your own bases. So you won't have to worry about your other home and the place you're staying for Pesach. But if you're going on a long journey of some kind, so one is either a long sea journey or on a caravan, and you're not going to go into your own home on Pesach, even if you have checked everything before Pesach, since it says you're supposed to get rid of all the so'or, you're supposed to get rid of all of any chametz items in your possessions. The main thing is to remove stuff from your home, and therefore some people say that if it's within 30 days that you go on your long trip, you have to do the B'dika and the Bior. Okay, and even if the house itself belonged to a non-Jew, if you had stuff there, you have to get rid of it. And some say, if the non-Jew goes into the house and you left the chametz there, you don't have to, and he'll just take over possession of it. But if we're talking about two Jews, then everyone agrees that you have to do the bior. And the second person who's going to stay in the house over Pesach has to do it. If a person rents out their house for Pesach, beginning on the 14th, okay, and it's going to go all the way through all of Pesach, and he uses one of the appropriate forms of making a transaction for a rental, okay, that means that you're going to use either a document, you're going to exchange money, okay, and you're going to stay in the house, or you're going to do a kinyan sudo, where you exchange a piece of fabric that belongs to the owner, and you lift it up over your head as the renter. If you didn't get the key to the house before the 14th, or if he's giving you the key and it hasn't really been handed to you, the house hasn't really been handed to you in its entirety, okay, meaning someone else holds the key, like you got the key when you rented the house, but they left it to somebody else because someone else needs to hold on to it, but you don't have the key in your possession on the 14th, so then the owner of the home who's renting it to you, he has to do the b'dika on the 14th. However, if you have the key and you've rented the home, you have to go do the search for the house. Even though you've sold your other house, you've left your other house. I already said if you left your other house, within 30 days, you have to go check it. Now, in your new house, you have to check it also. Okay, the person who's renting the house should still do bittul chametz anyway, just in case. If it's a house that is never locked, for whatever reason, maybe it's a pool house or something, so the moment that there is a transaction, the renter has to do the b'dika. So this whole key thing doesn't matter. If he doesn't do one of these things, just have some sort of verbal agreement or understanding, or like, let's say you're staying in someone's house, and they're like, yeah, sure, you can come stay, but there's nothing transactional about it. Even if you have a key that's not considered a transaction, you don't need to check. Why? Because it's like you're being told, hold on to the key, okay? And so too, if you do a sale right before Pesach, the seller doesn't have to check at all, even if the purchaser has it on the 14th. It's not getting it until the 14th or on the morning of the 15th. So that has nothing to do with it. The house has nothing to do with him. And if you rent the house to a non-Jew, the renter still has to check, even if he's given the key to the non-Jew on the 13th. And if a renter on the 14th doesn't know if it's checked or not, he should ask. And if the owner is not there, then assume it's been checked, but do your own bittul and nullify it yourself that evening and the next morning. And so too, if one has left his wife and children to do the b'dika, and the children are still young as well, they can also do it. Even if you haven't asked them, but since people are generally pretty strict about doing the b'dikas chametz, you can go ahead and rely on them to do this. And I think we'll stop here. We'll talk about the bracha and the things you do for the b'dikas chametz next time. Thank you for joining me.